of the sun. On the winter solstice, the darkest of nights, the goddess becomes the great mother and once again gives birth to the sun and to the new yearly cycle, bringing new light and hope to all on earth. On the longest of nights of winter and the dark nights of our soul, there springs the new spark of hope, the sacred fire, the light of the world. We gather tonight to await the new light. On this night, the maiden who is also mother and crone prepares to welcome the sun. Let's now prepare to welcome the new light within. These words from a winter solstice ritual posted on the White Goddess, a British site for Wiccans and other pagans, tell the story of the importance of the winter solstice. In today's restless world, we can all be grateful for the many holidays or holy days that remind us to celebrate the importance of loving warmth and hope. Today I will tell you a bit about modern paganism, Wicca specifically, and this important holiday, and then I will tie those thoughts to a message of tolerance and harmony. The word pagan is currently used for a variety of modern spiritual paths whose followers self-identify with that term. These modern pagan religions can be based on the deities, symbols, traditionals, and seasonal days of ancient pre-Christian religions. Today there are Druids following the practices of ancient Celts. There are followers of Asatru following the pre-Christian Norse traditions. There are other modern pagans following the ancient Greek, Roman, and Egyptian traditions, among others. According to a recent article by Sarah Sloat on the Inverse website, current estimates by scholars suggest there are between 500,000 and 1 million Americans who identify as pagans. Most pagan paths, and certainly Wicca, are full of people who prefer trees to religious tracts and are drawn to these nature religions. In a 2010 article in the Air Force Times, Wicca was found to be the largest practicing non-Christian faith in that branch of military service. When it was first introduced to the public attention in the 50s, it was called witchcraft, or the craft of the wise. Many refer to it as the craft to avoid the negative connotations that still may be associated with the word witchcraft. But modern Wicca is a positive path that has nothing to do with negativity, evil, or devils. It has much more to do with the magical results of positive energies and restoring broken relationships with our natural world. Many books have become standards for those interested in the practice, but there is no sacred text to follow. Many practitioners have become popular over the years, and their various books are often used as guides. Interest and participation in this new religion spread, and many varieties or traditions of Wicca now exist. The craft, also called the old religion, recognizes a goddess and a god. Names and aspects of these can vary from one tradition to the next. There is also a supreme deity, which some of us call the spirit of life. The goddess is represented by the moon and the god by the sun. There are 8 celebrations or Sabbats during the year, the 4 greater Sabbats being seasonal in nature, and the lesser Sabbats ruled by the cycles of the sun in the equinoxes and solstices. And that brings us to the winter solstice. This is a time of year that is celebrated all over the world, and the symbolism shines through many cultures and faiths. This solstice marks the shortest day and the longest night of the year, and takes place this coming Tuesday. For agrarian cultures in the northern hemisphere, this meant the coldest days of winter, the difficulties of staying warm, the worries over whether there would be enough food, and whether the youngest and oldest would survive. Cultures the world over have used this dark night as a time to gather and celebrate the coming of the sun, because the sun brings warmth and the promise of a return of a more fruitful time of year as the days slowly begin to grow longer. The winter darkness was a time of introspection, but the returning sun brings renewed energy, hope, and the promise of brighter times ahead. For Wiccans, this solar holiday known as Yule signifies an important turning of the wheel of the year and the wheel of life. The goddess takes the form of a mother and gives birth to the sun god. Many religions use birth or light to symbolize hope. These births are symbols to remind all of us that spiritual darkness is lifted by the light of hope. Many of the traditions associated with our winter holidays are also symbolic. The evergreen tree reminds us that we can endure through the winter. The many twinkling lights help guide us through the darkness. Caroling originated with the custom of wassailing, when villagers went door to door, raising toasts to their neighbors and joining together to sing and shout through the fields and orchards, to chase away the dark spirits and pour out tributes of cider to ensure the fertility of the crops. When formal sacred music moved into the churches, caroling of more secular songs continued outdoors. Our custom of the decorated tree is nothing new. Romans, during the winter festival of Saturnalia, decorated outdoor trees with metal ornaments, while early Germanic tribes decorated with fruit and candles in honor of Odin. And that age-old fruit cake may have originated in Egypt, but Roman soldiers carried something similar with them, and records show crusaders did as well. Gift giving at this time of year also has origins going back in time, since a tangible expression of our intangible love is a tradition handed down through almost every culture. Through all the ages, the main gift of the winter season can be found in the gift of life. The early Roman god of the sun, Mithras, was born around the time of the winter solstice and was resurrected after death. The Egyptian god Horus has a similar story. Christians celebrate a birth that also led to a resurrection. For Wiccans, the sun god, who is born of the mother goddess, also dies later in the year to be reborn when the wheel of the year turns again. This birth from the darkness that brings the hope of light and love into our lives is one shared by people around the globe. This great gift of the hope of love and peace it should engender is one that finds expression in many faiths, but has never yet been realized. Hatred and violence have been recorded through many, many ages, between Christians and non-Christians, between Catholics and Protestants, and between denominations in every faith. We have seen it in our own history when Catholic Spaniards at St. Augustine slaughtered Protestant French settlers at Fort Caroline. Wiccans recall the Salem witch trials. Some followers of religions that profess love are willing to kill to ensure their beliefs dominate. But domination, earthly power, and wealth are not love. The majority of people of all faiths are striving for a love that is accepting, generous, kind, and peaceful. In recognizing the similarities of mythologies, traditions, faiths, and beliefs, we can weave our lives together rather than tearing them apart. In celebrating our differences as well as our similarities, we can find ways to be ourselves and yet not be alone or lonely. In this place, we can be grateful to share a home together beside the warming, inspiring light of the Unitarian Universalist chalice. Together, we are creating a way to live in harmony and to promote understanding and peace. We owe it to ourselves and each other to cherish this gift and to do our best to share it through our actions with others we meet along the paths of our lives. A celebration of the sun god's eternal return is just one way to express the renewal of our hopes. May the solstice and turning of the wheel bring you love, peace, and good fortune in the coming year. Welcome the returning of the sun. So mote it be. Of us to be always hopeful gardeners of the Spirit, who know that without darkness, nothing comes to birth, as without light, nothing flourishes. So mote it be.